Amazon. There's a new boss at the helm.
And an old boss, Bezos, about to fly off in a rocket.
Plus, Washington is sharpening its knives for a big breakup.
This week, we dive deep into Amazon, the good, the bad, and the crazy.
I'm Alexa Scordato, and this is Future Forward.
I am Steven Rosenbaum. Let us launch. Hey, Alexa.
Hey, Steve.
So here's the weird thing about this show. We were going to do a segment on Amazon. And we're like, oh, we could do Blue Origin, or we could do Andy Jassy, or we could do the what's going on in Washington. And we kept looking, and then we're like, wait, like every one of these things could be a show. So we're going to see if we can squeeze this great big story into 1.5 hour. But there's a lot to cover here.
Yeah. So where are we going to start?
Let's start.
Jeff goes to space.
Let's start with space. So, Branson came out kind of out of the blue and said, wait, I'm going to go to space first. And I thought it was a little sad, I have to say. Like, that was my first reaction. Like, really? You're going to try and out Jeff? Like, I mean, Branson's just not in his league.
Yeah, but it's very on brand for Richard Branson to do and say something like that. He's always been so audacious. And it's also not like it's not necessarily out of the blue. That he did have Virgin Galactic, right? Or he does have Virgin Galactic.
I've been spending a lot of time thinking about this space entrepreneur thing. And if, I just finished, we're going to talk a bunch about today about the Brad Stone book, which I just finished. And, Bezos's space dreams, straight space ambitions are just so pint-sized compared to Musk.
Right. SpaceX has been in the press regularly, shooting up rockets. Like, the public, I feel like, has been actively following SpaceX's trajectory.
And by the way, and he's building a business, right? I mean, that's the other thing. So what I think is, without meaning to, in a weird kind of way, Bezos turning this 11-minute flight into, a piece of theater. It's not going to prove a whole lot. It's low orbit. He's not going to the moon. He's not going to Mars. Although he does have a rather snazzy jacket.
It's so weird to see photos of him now versus like early Amazon days. Like, he used to look like such a book nerd, like a librarian.
Yeah, he's definitely gone to the gym. But let me ask the question, and I say this without trying to be morbid. Has it crossed your mind to short Amazon stock the day before the rocket launch?
It has not, but I could see why people would.
Although, to be fair, if the thing blows up and Jeff is a bit of space dust, I'm not sure it changes the profitability or the growth of Amazon a whole lot, which is
right.
All right. So I think if you look at the data, if you just look at the data is rockets blow up, particularly early in the testing phases. I mean, how many of Musk's rockets blew up before they got one to actually, go up and come down without blowing up? Like 6 or 7.
Right.
So why, if you're Bezos, and by the way, and I've read both the Musk book, this is my summer reading, and now the Bezos book, and the SpaceX team and the Musk leadership of the SpaceX team is so much more rigorous than the Blue Origin team. I mean, the Blue Origin is kind of a hot mess, and he swings by the offices, and then he yells at people, and then he leaves for 6 months. But there isn't that, I think Musk is an A+ space student, and Bezos is a B- space student. He's just got different skill sets.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's marketing, right? Like Jeff is going into space because he knows he has ground to cover. The skepticism that we have around Blue Origin relative to SpaceX, that's the gap he needs to close.
Well, but I'm just saying he probably should be closing it with the science before he closes it with his physical body.
I mean,
and his brother and 81-year-old woman and some stranger who paid $28 million. Like,
right.
It's really almost like a reality show.
So wait, did not the flight that he's taking? I mean, they've tested the vehicle, the rocket.
Presumably, yes.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Let me put it this way, and then we'll get on to more interesting Amazon stuff. If I said to you, hey, Alexa, there's this really cool thing you can do, but it requires me putting 100 pounds of dynamite under your kitchen chair and you sitting on it. Like, but I'm sure it's going to be fine because we're going to put a lot of tinfoil on the seat before you sit on it. Like, you're sitting on a massive, it's a thruster engine, but it's also a bomb. Like, I'm just saying.
That's every astronaut, right? Every astronaut has taken a risk, and Jeff Bezos wants to do that.
Yeah, but all right, we're wasting valuable time, except to say the difference is he's the richest man on earth, so he's got a lot of shit he could be doing, and the flight that he's taking is not new, so he's not trying anything. It's so confession here. I have ridden on the zero gravity plane, known as
that's right. I forgot about that years ago, right?
Yeah, years ago.
And you think that's worth doing?
I thought it was fantastic.
Okay.
I mean, if that gets me,
I would do that, not the rocket thing. I would do that.
Well, I mean, they're all versions of the same thing. I'm low orbit. He's higher, but I would do it again, and I would do it again anyway. So Jeff's going to go to space. I think Branson is going to get a little bit of press, but I don't think people are going to pay as much attention, and I don't think he's going to change the fact that Elon's going to win this chapter. Okay. Bezos is going to win lots of things, but I don't think he's going to win space.
Yeah, so Branson's going to be like the T-Mobile of space.
Ouch. Wow, that was serious shade. That was well done. Branson is the T-Mobile of space. That may be the title of this podcast. All right, but we got a lot more to cover. So let's jump into chapter 2 and talk about Andy Jassy.
Who is Andy Jassy? Who's, as of today, the new CEO of Amazon?
And they just gave him $200 million in stocks on stock options yesterday.
That's the best job promo ever. Crazy.
But one could argue taking over at a time when the fun is kind of a little bit over. I mean, I'm going to recommend the Brad Stone book about 7,000 times in this podcast. If you read the Brad Stone book, one of the things about all of Bezos's earliest stuff is essentially he said to his team, hey, I have an idea. Let's make a computer that you can talk to and that can do stuff. And he kind of used Star Trek as the example.
Mm-hmm.
And they did all of this, voice recognition stuff. But internally, most of the people in the early days of Alexa thought he was just batshit crazy. Like, said so. Like, this is fucking insane.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the things that he did because Andy Jassy slowly and methodically and with no press built AWS into a cash printing machine.
Right. And he started out right in basically early days in the CD music line of business as a marketing manager.
Yeah.
Which gives me kind of hope for us lowly marketing folk in companies.
You know, I often when I think of you, I think of the word lowly next to you, not even for a moment. But he is. I mean, the thing about AWS is when they finally had to report the revenue. I remember the day of that news story, and people were just like, basically they've been saying internally for years, we can't hide this revenue inside a balance sheet. There are real SEC issues here. Like, we got to actually, it's too big a piece of our business to not reveal it. And when they revealed it, it was like, holy crap, this is a lot of them. I mean, so he's earned.
It's still yet only 10%, I think, of Amazon. Right?
Yes, but here, let's. I made a list. This is far and away not the whole list, but I made a list of the businesses that Amazon owns and runs that you may forget about. So let's just rattle them all off: Whole Foods, Zappos, Kiva Systems, PillPack, Twitch, IMDb, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, AWS, Audible, Alexa, Blue Origin, and then the Washington Post, sort of not, but kind of, Ring, the doorbell company, and Prime Video. So listeners, if you can think of others that are equally meaningful and that I've forgotten, just put them in the chat.
They don't even just have Prime Video. They have the Fire Stick.
Right, all those devices. Right. All the devices.
And the Kindle.
The Kindle. Yep. Yeah. Kindle. I'm making a list. Fire Stick.
It's not even just Audible. It's a device too. Yeah.
So, and the thing about that makes Amazon kind of undefeatable, if you buy the Brad Stone argument, is at this point, all of these businesses could, essentially what Jassy has to do is manage humans, make a list of the things that they're going to face as issues in the next 10 years and move toward, dealing with them. And they interestingly enough, there was an announcement today that they added two new phrases to their company mission statement. So it was in the New York Times. This is the Brad Stone article, and he said, where is it? 1 second, because it's meaningful. I meant to text it to you. All right, well, we'll go and I'll find it in a minute. Yeah, I'm not going to find it. He said there are two new mission statement elements, but I can't find it. I think the thing that is important to realize is it's not a company; it's a conglomerate.
Right. And
mostly what Jassy has to look at is environmental issues, employment issues, and potentially a federal breakup issue.
If they get broken up, though, I mean, AWS as just its own standalone company is incredibly profitable and is worth so much on its own.
Yeah. But here's the thing to be cautious about. I remember a story way back in the day when one of the big department stores of the day, and I don't remember which one it was, used to go to vendors, and they would say to vendors, listen, you're this wonderful, you knit mittens for us, and we buy mittens from you, and we buy 1,000 a month. What if we raise that order to 10,000 a month? What if we raise that order to 50,000 a month? And the mitten company would say, "Oh my God, we'll need to get more employees and more floor space and more more knitting machines and all of these things. And so they would go in and borrow money from the bank and go and build their company, and the company would get dramatically bigger. And then I think it might have been Walmart would come and say, listen, I know we're paying you $9 per pair of mittens, but really we're going to have to make that $7. Right. And the knitting company would say, well, we can't even make money on $7. They'd say, well, you're going to have to cut costs or whatever. And the point was, at the point at which you become so dependent on a single seller, they essentially own you. Walmart definitely treats vendors that way, and Amazon does the same. I had my first Amazon fail yesterday.
What happened?
And it's a tiny story. I'm cleaning up the speaker wiring in my living room, because what else do you do on 4th of July weekend? So I'm rewiring all of this cable and tearing out old cable and making it all the same gauge and putting in. And I ordered from Amazon banana plugs. Do you know banana plugs?
It's like yellow multi-prong, those things?
No, you don't. I don't have one to show you, but they're speaker plugs. They're a particular kind of banana. It's a audiophile thing. And they were $10. They were cheap, and I ordered them. They came the next day.
Oh yes, and my dad had them.
And they were terrible. They were terrible. They didn't have any instructions. They didn't install properly. The wire kept coming out of them. So I went on Amazon. I found a different one that was better quality, a little more money, ordered them. They came. They're fantastic. Go right on.
Great.
Rock solid. Yeah. So now I've got this $12 package of crappy banana plugs. Now, my experience with Amazon is I can return anything and they take them. You say, right. You go in, you say return, you say, if it's under 10 or 20 bucks, they mostly say just keep it. They give you your money back. Now, what I know is they're just shoving it down the throat of the manufacturer. They're not taking it back. They're just saying to the manufacturer, who's probably in China, hey, we've gotten 37 people who complained about these things. We gave 37 refunds. We're taking $37 worth of payments off of your next bill. Suck it up. Right. And I feel good about Amazon because I got my money back. The vendor feels terrible, but they don't say anything. Yesterday, when I went to return these, they said these are not returnable. Talk to the vendor, and they gave me the link to the vendor's website. So you know me,
you're never going to hear from the vendor.
For $10, I go on the vendor's website, and there's a chat engine. So I go in there for $10. I'm fighting this battle, and I say, "Hey, can you return these?" Amazon said to talk to you, and they came back and said, "No, only Amazon can do that. Speak to them." And I'm like, "Whoa, something just changed." Like Amazon used to just throw the vendor under the bus, and now they're like throwing me under the bus. Yeah. And I'm still buying more banana plugs from them, which come the next day magically.
Right. I mean, it's a hard thing to give up.
And I actually, funny, I went to the hardware store across the street from my house and thought I'd just buy them there, and they didn't have them. All right. So moving on, Andy Jassy, you asked me a question before we started this podcast, and you said, is he the Steve Jobs replacement? Is he, is
Tim Cook to Steve Jobs as Andy Jassy is to Jeff Bezos?
And I'm going to say no.
Okay. Why is that?
I think Jassy's job is not to innovate. I think it's to stabilize.
Okay.
I don't think they need to build another business. I don't think they need more devices. I don't think Amazon customers are anxiously waiting for the new Amazon Echo speaker mod. Like if they dial down innovation, nobody would care, as long as you can get groceries delivered.
I mean, I feel like that was the same criticism of Tim Cook, which is that he was not the visionary that Steve Jobs was. He's just the keep the trains running on time person. But Apple stock has only continued to go up since Steve Jobs passed.
But Amazon has innovated, or Apple has innovated. The new hardware is better. It's gotten, the reviews have gotten better. The phones have gotten better. I mean, I think he got on the innovation treadmill and has performed, and I don't think Jassy's being asked to do that. I mean,
we'll see.
That being said, though, I don't know about you, but I spend more time ordering things and reordering things, and like there are more, like when Amazon started trying to get me to sign up for multiple, like we'll send this to you on a schedule, I was like, fuck that. I don't want them sending me shit on a schedule. And now I'm like, yeah, maybe I do. Maybe toothpaste every 60 days, 90 days is okay. Maybe there is a bunch of staples that I would like to have just show the fuck up.
There are a lot of things Amazon has done to change my behavior or like expectations. Like groceries during the pandemic, I most certainly would never have gotten without Whole Foods.
Yep. I mean, what's weird about groceries, which we should do a whole show on, is I have more grocery vendors in my life today than ever before.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, we should definitely do a grocery.
Yeah, we'll do groceries. All right. But let's move to the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is, the politics ahead and essentially what Amazon is clearly going to face, because it's important and
it's coming. We bring it up almost every week now because there's actually a significant development or a piece of conversation about it.
So Lina Khan, her name comes up a lot in the book, and Biden just gave her a big new role at the FTC. Amazon is, and Amazon is trying to get her to recuse herself, which seems like an odd play to me. Like, is that ever going to happen? No, it's never going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
So, I mean,
but it's
clearly,
just like
I guess
they can do to make her less credible. But even then, I don't know. Feels like a cheap shot.
Well, I mean, so if you're doing Amazon defense, here's what you're looking at an 8-year time horizon. Because how long did it take? The AT&T breakup. I mean, these are long battles.
Years.
With lots of years, and on that 8-year time horizon, you're looking at midterms coming up in a year. Then you're looking at a presidential election in 2 years. So in either place, like you could be, doing all kinds of government relations stuff to be prepared for this. I mean, I think she's going to have to move fast, and it is the only thing that at the federal government level that both Democrats and Republicans agree on, which is this big tech breakup.
Right.
So she could get the votes. But to your point, you don't think it matters. You think if they split AWS off, I mean, certainly doesn't really matter to Bezos, right? Because he gets stock in both of them.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at any line of business that Amazon is in, all of those companies you mentioned, Whole Foods was an independent company before they were acquired. I feel like their brand, the convenience, like they will continue to thrive. Twitch, right? I can't think of another streaming platform dedicated to gaming that is nearly as like top of mind. AWS is the market leader. I mean, the list goes on, right?
I mean, if I were, without being an antitrust expert, I would say the thing that they ought to be banned from doing is building private label products using data from the sale.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's super. What's super creepy about that is, you build this tiny little product, this yoga mat company, and then it becomes successful. Amazon sees the data, looks at it, knocks off the product, puts the Amazon Basics result above yours in the search results, and you're out of business.
Right.
That I think is actionable bullshit.
Yep.
But the point that Brad Stone makes in the book is, the great A&P supermarket chain did exactly that. It's exactly what they did. They did private label. They put the private label A&P brand ketchup at eye level and the Heinz at knee level. They controlled the shelves.
Yeah.
They made it 3 cents cheaper.
It's funny how everything old is new again, right? Like that. It's just the scale of it is so much bigger.
Well, Amazon didn't always have the power that it has now. And so the question is, now that it has the power, it either, there's a use it or lose it component, right? I mean,
right.
Do you think, so let's play in the last few minutes we have, let's play predictions. Okay, so you're Bezos, you're the wealthiest man on earth. Your ex-wife is going to go out and do philanthropy with her half of the money, and she's already doing that in a very, very meaningful way in New York, for example. We can do that show as well, but she's absolutely putting money into the community. Bezos has a new wife and a spaceship, and what does he do? Does he run for something? Does he get more into politics? He doesn't seem like he's done with this chapter. Is it all space all the time?
Maybe it's going to be like a philanthropy. I don't know. But I think it's going to be less structured and more experimental and play. Versus I need to make our shareholder value and stock price go up. He's far from done. He has all the resources in the world and he's still young.
I wonder how much Washington Post plays a role in the next chapter. I wonder if he decides that he wants to reinvent the news business.
I feel like he's gotten really into media and entertainment in recent years, right? Like all of the award shows, he's there. The Oscars, the Emmys, Golden Globes, he's there. So maybe it's not just Washington Post, but media as a whole.
It's interesting. What could he buy? In the 2 minutes we have left, what could he just go out and snap up? Netflix?
What's
that? I have to look at the numbers and see what Netflix is going for and what he's got in spare cash. But presumably he could, take 30% of his holdings of his cash and buy something. So
he could buy Condé Nast. He could buy Hearst. He could buy he could start his own he could just revolutionize media, whatever that means. But he's such a logistics guy.
Yeah, it's true.
He could buy Peloton. He could buy Peloton. He could get into the fitness space.
Not big enough. Not big enough. Voting systems. He could get into fixing voting systems.
Maybe it's going to be the environment, but the irony there is that Amazon is such a culprit in terms of waste and carbon footprint. Did you see the article I sent you about how there's so many products that
Amazon is destroying millions of unsold goods from smart TVs to laptops. Yeah, this is Fast Company. And it's not surprising, right? When you ship stuff back to Amazon, you kind of know where it's going. All right. Well, we are out of time. We will see you next week. Have a great 4th of July. And
see you next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.